Men are slowly giving up and nobody cares why. Man, I mean, I wouldn't say nobody cares. I don't know. I mean, okay, if you look online, to be honest, yeah, I could actually say there's a lot of notions of, oh, F all men, this and that, whatever. And it's like, you know, you don't really see the opposite as much online. Let me say that. Yeah, I don't know. Some things to help you, you know, as a man, if you're feeling a little bit down, I feel like. I mean, number one is gym. Just getting out there, going outside, bro. Like, as men, bro, we're baboons, all right? We need some strength lifting. We need to move or something like that. So that could be a big one. But even then, you know, you could still feel sad. I don't know, going out more with friends and stuff. Man, I'm not a therapist, man. What am I supposed to tell y'all, man? Shoot. I feel like every young man nowadays has felt some type of like loneliness or, you know, isolation from society. COVID, bro, was doing numbers on everybody. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, let's go ahead and see this.
Increasingly, more and more men are giving up. Giving up on relationships, careers, and society as a whole. Resentment is growing.
To be fair, dating for each gender is just bro. We can talk about, yeah, dudes don't get matches and stuff on, I don't know, dating apps or this and that. But like for women, it's not any better. Shoot. The average dude that goes up to them, bro, either terrible riz, they know he's just trying to pipe or something like that. And if they allow it, shoot, then I guess they're fine. But if they're looking for a real connection, that's hard to find nowadays, I feel like, from both sides.
Unemployment is becoming rampant. And keeping your head above water.
Is unemployment just for men or more of like everybody? I feel like the economy is just like effed up. Like you apply for a job nowadays and like 100 people already apply for it.
Seems almost impossible for many men today. This is leading to more men than ever dropping out.
Millions of men have dropped out the workforce, leaving companies struggling to fill jobs as a matter of our national identity.
Society entirely. And it's not just that. Men are becoming infantilized. With terms like adulting now becoming normal, it's clear that something ugly is happening that needs to be addressed. We live in such a strained, unnatural environment that is bound to start to wear on society. But men in particular are battling to keep up and are slowly giving up. Giving up on dreams, giving up on trying, and giving up on doing anything constructive. And for a large part, it's really not their fault, as this trend isn't just a
Yo, why did it have to be Gen Z that grew up and had the shitty economy? I know millennials actually had, honestly, millennials might have had it worse. The economy was cool, you know what I'm saying? From Obama's era and whatnot. Even when Trump was in office and stuff, it was good. Or actually, you know, when Obama got in, it was pretty bad. But it got fixed after like 2010, 2011. And then, bro, like what the hell, bro? Look at it now. Gang, a house is like $1 million. A car, you can't even buy a new car nowadays, bro. I learned a stat back then in the 80s and whatnot. Everybody, like 50% of high schoolers or 60% had their driver's license already and had like some form of car. Nowadays, you are not seeing that, bro.
Struggle, but a societal issue that we must urgently address. So why is this happening? And why has it gotten so bad in 2024? On the surface, it's a long and complicated story. Life has never been simple for any human, and objectively speaking, for men in the West today, it's never been better. We have all the technology we need, food delivered to your door with the tap of a finger, dating.
But that ease is low-key what's kind of causing the downfall, no? Because it's too easy to get stuff nowadays. We're turning into a Wall-E society, low-key.
Available to anyone with a simple swipe. Any products, items, or experiences that you want can be had with the tap of your phone. But over time, all of these comforts of life destroys the importance and necessity of struggle, without any value placed on higher goals. True. Where there just is no reason to care, means there's no reason for people to properly
Bro, there was a reason for men to care, I feel like. Hey guys, Tom NFG here. You know, only half of you guys are subscribed and even less of you guys have noties on. I hate to be a burden, but you know, I really appreciate it if you hit that sub button and the little bell next to it, you know. It doesn't take long. I know you can get mixed up in the algorithm and everything. But yeah, also tune into the streams, you know. We have a lot of fun over there, I'm telling you. We have a lot of parties going on over there. Yeah, that's it, bye. Damn. Back then, especially, you know, when houses were cheap as hell, like you could really work like a couple years or whatever and then put a down payment on a house, get the house or whatever, raise a family, you know, if you wanted a family, bro. I would say the average dude want to do something like that. But nowadays, bro, you got no hope in that. Shoot, everybody's like renting something. If they do have something, nobody owns anything anymore, and it's like tough.
Will have the will to achieve greatness, which is probably why 40% of young men aged 18 to 45 meet the criteria for depression, and 49% of 18 to 23-year-olds have had a thought of passing themselves.
And how many dudes are just like silent about it too? Y'all gotta think about it. Like you probably got a friend or something that's silent about this and is not saying anything about it.
Past 2 weeks alone. And we're seeing the symptoms of this problem everywhere. The sapping away of our vision and ambition permeates in all aspects of modern society today. Our culture, architecture, relationships, bodies and minds. Past civilizations before us have always placed their emphasis on beauty, wisdom and logic for all the population to see, with great town squares, bustling with art, life and community. These things were placed above all else as the bedrock of their societies, laying out a code of honor and struggle in its people to achieve greatness. Comforts were shown in art and culture, but as an aspiration for achieving something great. for following your mastery. But today our cities are mostly devoid of all of this character, and instead they're marked out by the most cost-efficient, bland and sterile designs to facilitate a simpler, self-motivated purpose. It's why
for real, I miss the buildings with like cool designs and stuff. What happened? Like everything is just like modern. And modern has its place, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, can they make something new that's not always modern? Like make it look like, you know what I'm saying? Just give it some flair.
People flock all over the world.
Nobody just wants to see a brown apartment building.
That retain their centuries-old charm to feel and experience the character of bygone societies that were motivated by higher ideals. Ideals greater than our modern two-dimensional ways of thinking. With a prioritization of comfort, lasting opulence, and flashy materialism over individual excellence and greater community, we're now reeling in the aftermath, becoming instead a generation of mandated mediocrity. And does this explain why men today seem to struggle more than ever while seemingly having more than ever? America in particular is not actually in a recession. In fact, on paper, the economy looks like the best it's been in a while. Unemployment has dropped, GDP is up. But what the people are...
But as there's more people in the population, it feels like that. You know, back then, it probably felt like it less because there was less people in the population, meaning more people still had jobs, or it felt like it. But like now, America's fucking like huge or whatever, so like you really like, you know, people that are unemployed or they're not able to get a job and stuff.
Actually experiencing is a completely different story. We can see this in a study by the University of Michigan on consumer sentiments, which gathers data based on how consumers feel about the current state of finances. In 2022, it dropped to an all-time low. Prices of our average daily needs like gas and food have increased in unbearable percentages.
Nah, I really hope we never reach an era like 2022 gas prices, bro. Niggas was paying $5 a tank. I think California was paying like $10 a tank or something like that.
Contrast, salary increases do not match, putting a high strain on budgets.
And I've seen people say that too, like nowadays even 100K won't even like, it feels like the new 100K is like the old 50K or something like that. But it's like, nah, it all depends where you live. 100K in Cali is absolutely nothing, right? Compared to like, I don't know, Texas.
Inflation is showing no signs of slowing down as Americans pay over $1,000 a month more on the same essentials we were buying 3 years ago. Nothing's changed but price. The latest consumer price index for March showing basic necessities.
The car insurance is insane, bro. How is car insurance going up? What changed? And wait, what COVID? What would have changed with car insurance? Nah, they just doing this shit on purpose, bro. And the crazy thing is, y'all, whenever you hit up these insurance companies, and whenever something happens, they never want to hit you back up. Like something happened like 3 weeks ago, bro. I'm hitting up the insurance company, telling them like, we gotta get this going, man. And they're just not calling back, not responding. They're probably gonna take an extra week or something.
Our food, housing, and gas are all continuing to cripple Americans' wallets with higher prices.
Our wages are actually down against inflation since Biden took office. So not only are prices soaring, but you know, our wages, at least if you measure hourly wages, are not keeping up at all.
Keeping your head above...
I wouldn't say wages are down. I think they're up, like especially hourly wage and stuff, but it's like the cost is way much higher, you know, compared to back then.
It has become the new normal instead of owning a home with a white picket fence. The rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer, with the middle class
By the way, am I the only one that hates like white picket fences and stuff, bro? Like, get that shit off my lawn.
Completely. All the knowledge of the past of just going to college, getting a job, and buying a home immediately is just completely irrelevant for anyone working and living in 2024. The universities are skyrocketed in prices to absurd levels. The housing market is in a complete giant bubble. Everyone's sending out job applications more and more.
11 an hour in 2024? How is like the cost of living in Kentucky? Is it good? That's insane anywhere, I feel like. 11 an hour, bro? Who is working this job? Oh, hell nah.
It's more and more.
I hope they never get somebody hired for that.
Automated testing systems, applying up to 100 jobs a day and still not getting anywhere. All the while major companies repeatedly tell us that they can't find any workers for their companies. And the results of this are clear. People are drifting towards more unfulfilling jobs, or just not even having a job at all. While the rich buy up resources, real estate, and everything that used to be the cornerstones of the middle class, that is now just an investment hidden through an offshore bank account for some giant investment fund.
Basically what they want to do is create a nation of renters. BlackRock coming in and giving them more money than the house is worth.
How much more do they give them?
They can give them, 30% above.
Really?
Which is money.
And then they just lease those homes out.
And they lease them out. It's part of this idea that home ownership and automobile ownership and all of these things, these legacy systems that people want to get rid of, and they go,
that's what I'm saying. The government got to reform how these like housing companies move, bro. Because I swear, if y'all know anything about housing and whatnot, bro, one company will own like 100 neighborhoods, like just around the whole block or whatever. And it's like, that's just okay.
House, use Uber, Lyft, whatever. You don't need to own. What does owning do for you? That's that famous article, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Right.
And because of this, all saving plans for regular people are halted because living paycheck to paycheck means there just isn't enough for a savings plan. And whilst there is still some hope to dig your way out, for most this does begin a damaged path. People end up working in a job that's not in their field, something that they hate to do every day, and eliminates the experience they need for the job in their field. And so even the experience they are getting is just completely useless for getting back on track. In effect, their now entry-level position is further deviating them from becoming lawyers, psychologists, or whichever career path they studied for. And if the middle class is experiencing this, then the lower earners are feeling this even more. The jobs they once had a chance of landing now go to the middle class, while they get hit a bump lower, which is putting millions of people in dire straits. They face working twice as hard for minimum wage, juggling between jobs, partaking in the gig economy with absolutely no security, all with an extreme
Is
pressure.
that dude walking with an Uber? Yo, I could never work Uber Eats and not have a car. You're not about to see me walking down the street in like rain conditions, snow conditions, and whatnot to deliver your fucking goddamn McDonald's burger, nigga. Get out of here, bruh.
With absolutely no security, all with an extreme pressure to keep up with daily expenses in a completely overpriced mega.
I'm not hating on the dude, by the way, before somebody's like, oh, Tommy, you're hating streaming's harder than a 9 to 5. Just want to mention that, all right? You know, he's getting his bag, you got to do his thing. But, like, I'm saying, I got to have a car, bro, if I'm working Uber Eats.
And the truth is, both middle and lower earners are now taking a huge hit to their egos. They feel disrespected through no fault of their own, as no man wants to feel like a failure. They don't want to feel like they're not providing or on their destiny. Imagine putting in the hours and effort to get a degree and then having to take a job that's not even within the field you studied for. Well, this is just regular.
Yeah, I think that's why you'll see the stat and it'll talk about how, like, more women are in college now than men. And honestly, bro, I just think a lot of dudes are like, the shit not even worth it anymore, bro. They say in general, the younger generation is less in college, bro. Like, nowadays, bro, a lot of jobs don't even be checking if you have a degree or whatever. They'll just, like, upset. Like, connections will be 10 times way more important in your life than ever having any degree, bro. Bro, there's people with no degrees that build themselves all the way up to the CEO position. Because, like, they just know how to talk.
Life for most people nowadays. It's making men feel incredibly depressed and isolated. They watch all this stuff on social
That article's
media
from 2011
and see people
too.
flexing the Rolexes on their Instagram stories. Meanwhile, they're struggling to survive, living a life they absolutely hate.
Nah, I genuinely, like, I don't really get depressed if I see somebody flexing. Maybe because I went through, like, the Lil Pump flexing era. You know, everybody was flexing some shit. I'm just like, okay, cool.
And when friends and family ask about it, they suffer the humiliation of explaining why they had to take what was available. Even though it isn't humiliating at all, and they're doing what they can to survive, it definitely takes a huge effect on their mental health. Especially as it wasn't that long ago, where it was actually normal to enter the workforce with a mentor who would show you the ropes and encourage you and push you to learn more. Starting at the bottom didn't seem so bad because there was an opportunity to grow and reap more rewards, but this imperative step is slowly slipping away. Companies of prestige have forgotten the generation with no experience, and for many companies, this is what they want. This is actually the ideal scenario, where they have people so desperate, so in
They
need
just
of
needed to make a new job category with absolutely no experience. Don't call all the jobs an entry job, all right? The entry job be like, oh, you still gotta have experience. Where the f is experience supposed to be if it's my first job? Make a job, just be like, no experience, first time job. Even if it needs a requirement for a degree or something, okay, but say 0 experience, just for people that actually, you know what I'm saying, I've never had a job, and that's gonna be their first shot at it.
experience that they can treat their workers like absolute trash. Since the 1980s, testosterone levels have dropped more than 50%, and yet we're told to ignore it. Why? Because there's a coordinated effort to suppress masculinity and turn men into something they were never meant to be. This decline is no accident. We're constantly exposed to harmful chemicals
Ew, that
in
shit
our
look
food and
disgusting.
everyday products, bombarded with estrogenic chemicals from plastics, junk food, and sedentary
I would honestly say it's getting better, because I know, like, gym culture has been up and stuff. I know I, goddamn, have been at the gym, and that shit changed my life like crazy, bro.
lifestyles, which is why testosterone levels have been declining for decades, with a 17% drop among 60-year-olds in 2004 compared to 1987. Sperm count and
Damn.
strength in men are also decreasing exponentially, with a 32.
I heard that's also why they look like really old at a young age too back then. Like, you ever see a high schooler from the 1960s, bro? They look like they're straight up like 32 years old or something like that.
5% decrease in mean sperm concentration in the last 50 years. The cost of having a job also plays a part in stripping them of their dignity. Transport costs to their job, depending on the amount, could take a huge chunk of their salary, so that at the end of the day, they can only pay for rent or food and not both. A government grant could replace their salaries, and they earn more or less the same amount.
What's also helping to pay the bills is, as I said, the U.S. government, in particular, our disability programs for people who are unable to work. Those programs seem to have morphed away from their original humane intention and now seem to provide an alternative income source to regular employment for several millions, for millions and millions of these guys.
If a job doesn't support your basic needs of a home, food and transport, it wears thin in justifying the effort for this job, especially if you're not getting any experience. And in most cases, if you go into the gig economy, absolutely no security either, all for minimum wage. There's even a new term called quietly quitting, where you do the bare minimum of your job to the point that you're almost rendered useless and you get fired or simply quit. The fact that this term even exists.
How does that even happen though? Like doing the bare minimum. So let's say you're at McDonald's. I don't know. You're just working a minimum wage job. I have no clue. Like if somebody could explain how this exactly works, because like any job, if you quit like this, they would just fire you on the spot.
Shows that attention
Unless
is
if they
desperately
really need
needed
you.
to solve this problem. And while this is happening, it's becoming more and more common for both partners in a household to be living the same life, or even with most males' partners actually being the breadwinner. And whilst this isn't necessarily a problem at all, it is leading to some weird modern problems in the household. Men with families are actually switching their roles with their wives. Except
The
that
rise of the stay-at-home dad. Dude, I don't know if it's just me, but I would love to be a stay-at-home dad. Hey ladies, I'm open for offer shit. I don't care, bro. Hey, if they want to be doing the work and stuff, I'm not going to complain. I will be masculinity cleaning the house.
not
I
actually
don't give a
doing
fuck.
what wives would do if they were to stay at home.
When you look at what I guess in Britain is called NEET, N-E-E-T, do you say that also in Australia? Neither employed nor in education or training. When you look at that huge group of well over 6 million prime age men, the story they're telling about their lives is really pretty devastating. It's pretty distressing. They basically don't do civil society. There's almost no worship, almost no volunteering, almost no charitable work. They've got a lot of time on their hands, but they report doing strangely little help around the home or help with other people at home.
Because of the situation, some men may feel a sense of worthlessness and resentment. Some men might take an hour to clean up the house and fetch the kids, but the rest of the day they sleep or play games. In some cases, the wives work and then come home to finish the chores their husbands were meant to do.
Okay, see, now I would be mad. I'm not blaming any of the women for being mad at that, because what the fuck, nigga? Yo, I would be there, bro, actually doing the work. I finished the work in like 3 hours, and then I'm good for the rest of the day.
But
They're
didn't.
tripping.
And whilst this might cause huge marriage problems, it still feels better off to the husbands. If asked what they do for a living, saying they're on a break or working on a project beats the humiliation of saying they work in McDonald's with a useless degree on their back. Men without families have nothing to lose, so they stop working because no woman would even want them anyway. They can't afford to date, they can't afford a family, and since their own families are supportive, it somehow justifies them giving up and staying at home, rather than facing these societal problems head on. With prices rising, getting hired becoming harder and harder by the day, and inequality becoming rampant within society, most men are just deciding to give up, because instead of facing the hardships of having a job, it just seems so much easier to escape, whether it be tamely being online,
Off topic, but that pizza had an odd little amount of sauce. Like, you gotta put more in that.
playing video games all day, or hiding behind doing chores at home to show they still have a purpose and are doing their best. The point being that for many men in 2024, if they're gonna be disrespected and feel worthless, they may as well choose the easy way out than a battle. If respect had a currency on how it would affect your life directly, you would see a different picture. A man with a job with high pressure, long hours, and doing something that makes him feel degraded would be worth say $100, but staying at home playing games and escaping, all while being with the people he loves, is probably worth $200 because of how it affects him. This explains why more and more men are deciding to drop out of society rather than face it head
How
on.
the f do you drop out of society? Isn't that just ending your life?
As it just seems to be the easier path. If it's a choice between two paths, one that offers little satisfaction while the other provides comfort, it's easy to see why
So
men
you can never be too comfortable. You really gotta ask yourself, for a lot of dudes, have you done anything this year that has made you like uncomfortable? Like you've gotten out your zone, whether that's going to like some type of party or something you usually wouldn't go to or something like that, trying something new that you never would have. You gotta do things like that, or else, you know, if you're not challenging yourself, yeah, you're probably just gonna be the person he's talking about.
going this route. But the thing is, this is a terrible mistake. And this is creating problems that we've never seen before. If there is no emphasis or any facilitation of the need to aspire to something greater and the game seems rigged to most who are playing it, it's hardly a surprise record numbers of men are dropping out and giving up on the game entirely. The problem is that there's a huge group of men, roughly about 7 million in America, between
Have
the ages
dropped out of the workforce. Okay, but how much is this to like the economy or like COVID or something? I highly doubt 7.2 million men are dropping out just because they just want to drop out and be lazy and play games.
25 and 55 who are not working and are actively not looking for work. Now, COVID certainly had a hand in accelerating these figures.
Yeah, I think
One
most of that
question
is probably
posed these
COVID,
dropouts was
like-
how many of these men were on pain medication, and almost half of these men admitted to taking pain medication daily. And aside from those who desperately need it, these figures could indicate that men are aimlessly numbing themselves to their new reality. And this is great for society, as people don't have to deal with this huge problem. And what's even more shocking is that 40%.
Who the don't you gotta have a prescription for those? The pills? Obviously, you can buy from drug dealers, but like, I highly doubt like a bunch of dudes or whatever are just buying them from drug dealers to cope with not having a job or something.
Of these men do have some kind of degree.
What sort of men are in this group? Demographically, education, family
Why does this
structure?
dude look like he's straight out of like the Roman Empire era? Like, he doesn't look like a real man that was like born in the 21st century or like whatever.
Who makes up this group?
Surprisingly large, representation of guys with college or even college degrees. 40% of this group has at least some college, and as I recall, about a fifth or a sixth are college grads.
The decision to be in this state is closely related to changing times. We've already discussed the effects of brain rot in another upload, which disabled problem solving in Generation Z and has already presented.
This thumbnail was crazy work, bro. You gotta slow down the images. 7 images. I can't even keep what was going on. Did I see Quandale Dingle? Yo, I forgot about Quandale Dingle. Oh my god.
To problems in finding jobs. They are quick to quit at the first difficult task and move on to find something else, but what happens when options run dry and they find themselves simply stuck in limbo? Giving up seems to be the next step, and accepting that is easy when they're discouraged by the situation. Working off of surveys, the data compiled indicates that these men are not only not working, but they're cutting themselves off from their communities, or there's no incentivization for them to even
More
have
than 1 in 4 men, 28% under age 30 reported having no close social connections. Not one friend. I mean, I'm not really surprised by that. Actually, no, I should be kind of surprised by that, because like, you don't have like a single close friend like you grew up with or something you could talk to. God damn, hey, any dude's going through this, bro. Damn, I want to give advice, but like, it's gonna sound like the typical shit. Honestly, I don't even know in truth. But man, you could always find people to make friends or whatever. People are way more friendly than people think, to be honest. Even like when we think politics wise and how people disagree or whatever, in reality, bro, if you go up to somebody in real life, bro, y'all might have a disagreement, but like, it will never turn too crazy, you know?
community in the first place.
People are way
They're
more
hiding out
nicer
because going out
than
would mean
people think.
meeting new people who might oppose their lifestyles. It makes it uncomfortable. Why leave when you can just aimlessly watch brain rot content and numb yourself with weed or pain medication and stay inside in the warm comfort of home? And any sexual needs you have can be satisfied with
See, I'm telling y'all, bro, the weed smokers don't like to hear, bro. That should be hindering them. Be trying to tell my friends, like, yo, slow down, bro. Lock in. Just give up for a month. Of course, they're always like, I could give up anytime, bro. But can you really? Can you really if you haven't really given up in the past, like, 2 or 3 years? I don't know. I don't believe it.
pixels on a screen. This lifestyle is increasingly becoming more and more normal for men in the West. But what's important to note is that men don't want to be this way. It's a horrible lifestyle. It's depressing. It's atomizing. What this really is just a coping mechanism or a form of self-defense against a society that's becoming increasingly hostile to these men. Up until recently, the problem has been invisible. These figures weren't shown in any statistics or surveys because they slipped through the cracks until very recently. So why did they slip through the cracks? Well, it's easy to see. They simply don't fit the victim criteria. Some have degrees, they're in the prime of their lives, and it was their choice to quit. It's easily overlooked and only comes to light as the numbers rise. Nicholas Upstart wrote a book called Men Without Work, and has since exposed and addressed the problems in his book.
Bro, COVID really f***ed society, bro. I just wish we were like, f*** it, man. We're not gonna close down anything. We'll just keep life going on. I wouldn't even be here, to be honest, because I started posting TikToks in COVID time or whatever. But those years of COVID, bro, I'm just looking back at them. They don't even seem real. It seems like we just skipped like 1 or 2 years or whatever.
He says he is trained to look for hidden and
Didn't even
plain sight
feel real.
problems, which is how he stumbled upon this issue. You see, these men are not causing trouble, at least for now, and they don't seem to be drawing any attention to themselves. On the contrary, they keep to themselves. So surveys and statistics just don't include them at all. They don't even register on the scale, and people in society think this is a joke issue. And it's also reasonable to conclude that some of these men may work, but in the underground economy, work like formal cash jobs, or even shady illegal ways of making money. But of course, this is just a minor portion of these men. We need to address the problem head on. How is the situation getting this bad? These men have completely lost their purpose in life. All of their duty, their hopes, their responsibilities, their own dignity and value. It's being completely decimated at the moment. And we're seeing this with the form of radicalization online, growing hatred and division, and a general apathy towards society as a whole.
It doesn't help, bro, either. Like, bro, the thing is about this issue or whatever, it's so complicated because more often than not, a lot of these dudes might feel this way or whatever, and they go online and there's some girl talking about, you know, end your life, you're a man. why are you complaining or whatever. But it's like, you have to blame the faults of all the men in the past on like the young men that had nothing to do with it, that like were born in the 2000s shit and watch SpongeBob, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? They're not the problem. But at the same time, I do understand, you know, you gotta call things out. Like, I'm not expecting women to not call things out and stuff like that, but shit is just so extreme, bro. The true way to get rid of this is just annihilate Twitter.
And the longer this is ignored, the harder it's going to be addressed down the line. More men today than ever feel disconnected, disillusioned, and left behind by a world that seems increasingly indifferent to their struggles. While GDP numbers and employment stats may sound like an easy, good solution on paper, especially to government bureaucracies, it will never really fix the reality of the situation for normal people. The real challenge we face today in the West is to find purpose and meaning again, to have any reason to even want to participate and achieve greatness in society. We should focus on creating environments where people can thrive, where beauty, philosophy, and higher noble pursuits are actively encouraged by the cities and countries that we inhabit, which would give millions of men a reason to care again.
Good video. I disagree with some things, to be honest. Like, it was interesting. Yeah, I like looking at videos and stuff because, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, y'all, a couple of things you can implement in your lifestyle, you know, to help you. I know for a fact, like I said, the gym already helped me a lot with that and stuff like that. Like, you just need to be active, and then that'll lead to, like, different things happening and whatnot. And yeah, the dude's watching me, you know. You are loved. If you're not loved by anybody, you're loved by me. So there's that. And yeah, if you're watching the tube, make sure to join the Discord and watch the stream.
Subscribe to Tommy and FG.